What a joy to be here today. What a joy to see so many familiar faces. Partners who have worked on good causes in this community. Partners in singing back in December when the Presbyterians joined and we sang in a concert. And again, it's just a joy to be here. I know that the Presbyterians are missing half of their bass section today, but they'll get along. They'll get along, I promise. And Natalie, what beautiful music. And you all, I'm sure, know this, but you're so fortunate to have Paul and Susan with you. They are such a gift. Paul says that, many people are welcome to stand in front of him when he's waving his arms. And they bring great joy to this community. So, thank you. Thank you for dedicating time to Family Promise. Thank you for dedicating time to Family Promise in light of so many other concerns, so many important other things that we have to pay attention to in our community and in our world. As Sue said, you all were in the beginning. You were part of Family Promise from the first day. You all stepped up and said, we'll be a host congregation, one of 12. You also, about 6 years ago at the Renaissance Fair, gave us our first check, our first sizable financial contribution. That it was $650. I remember it because it was the first. But it enabled us to apply for our nonprofit status. It was exactly the amount of money that we needed to complete that application. So I don't exaggerate when I say you all were here from the beginning, and thank you. Thank you very much. Family Promise is really a lot of different stories. Certainly, it is about the stories of the 63 families that we have been able to serve, but it's also bigger in many ways in that Family Promise has been able to create coalitions of folks to work together, people who might not otherwise speak to each other, but we have the opportunity to work together in common cause. It is also about having the opportunity to talk more broadly in our community about poverty issues. And so while providing direct service to these families is an important part of what we do, there are other important things that have been accomplished. And when I say have been and we, I want to be very clear that when I talk about Family Promise, I want to use plural pronouns. We, y'all, us, because it is a community effort. It's not just a director, our Katti Carlson director who's coming a little bit later. It's not about a few staff people. It's not even just about our board, but it's about hundreds of volunteers who have committed time, effort, and treasure to make this program viable. So, Family Promise has an aspirational mission statement, and it basically says, Family Promise is here to eliminate homelessness and address complex issues of poverty on the Palouse. Now, our real work happens with families with children. There are lots of manifestations of poverty, and this is one. And in the beginning, my friend Steve Bonner convinced me that there was real need, even though there is not real evidence. There's real need, but there aren't people out in the Walmart parking lot with cardboard signs. In fact, homeless families are invisible, and they want to stay that way. They do not want to draw attention to their situation. And so we moved forward in faith that, and with some evidence, that in fact there was need for addressing this particular issue. Now, homeless families come to us for a variety of reasons, and Sue mentioned several of them in her earlier comments. Families come to us because of broken relationships. And one adult in that partnership ends up with the kids and maybe no place to live. In some cases, there are drugs involved, and one parent gets in difficulty, and the other, unfortunately, needs some place to live. Some people live in so much poverty that one car accident, one medical bill, leaves them without enough money for the rent. Again, there are so many different stories. There are so many different paths. And I think it's fair to say that when they come to Family Promise, they don't want to be with us. They don't want to be in Family Promise. In fact, we're probably their last best choice. They've probably exhausted other family relationships, burned up social capital with perhaps friends that they have tried to stay with and done couch surfing with, but we are their last best choice. And we feel like certainly the work that we do is incredibly important, but we also understand when they walk in the door, they'd rather be someplace else. They would rather be someplace else. Part of the success of Family Promise comes also from the dynamic that they have a different set of concerns and motivations than a lot of other people in poverty, in that when families come to us, they're motivated often for the children. You know, they are so committed to making sure that those children have a different life, that they're willing to make change. I never want to know what it's like to be an adult who has children but can't feed them. I don't want to ever know how those families feel when they feel like they've fundamentally not been able to live up to some obligation of responsibility to put a roof, a safe roof, the same roof over that child's head over time. And so we are grateful to be working with these families in this particular situation because we know that they have a motivation. They have a motivation to change. So, for those of you who only may loosely know about Family Promise, here are just a couple descriptors. First of all, again, we provide service to families who have one adult and at least one child in their legal custody. Now, we define family very, very broadly, but that's the bare minimum. And when they come into the program, they certainly have to make certain commitments to set goals and live in community, quite frankly, in an awkward situation, maybe with a couple other families. Family Promise is able to host 2 to 3 families at a time. And during that time, the families are made to feel comfortable and loved, but not too comfortable. And that the routine is that our families will move into a host church on a Sunday afternoon, and this afternoon they're moving in over the Presbyterian church. And then each day this coming week, they will stay all night at the Presbyterian church. They'll receive a warm meal, and we've set aside private spaces for each family to sleep, and that's their place for the week. But the difficult thing is that they have to get up pretty early in the morning, and they roll out of bed and they get in the van and go to our day center at about 7:15, 7:30 in the morning. And wrestling small kids up and getting your act together so that you're in time for that van is sometimes no small thing. So they go to the day center, and It is out on Palouse River Drive. It's a wonderful facility that the good folks at Gritman are leasing to us for pennies on what it really costs to run. But at the day center, we have shower facilities, computer facilities, kitchen, laundry, indoor, outdoor play areas for children. It's also where we have our offices. And so it's their daytime home. And so each day they go there unless they are out working or they're going to school or they have other life things that they need to be paying attention to. But it's their daytime home. And then tomorrow evening at about 5, they show back up at the Presbyterian Church, and we provide meals and company and hopefully a fair amount of privacy so that they can have some time with their kids and then go to bed and be rested. That's the format. And again, it is to be safe. It's supposed to be supporting and at the same time not overly comfortable, because we want them to be motivated to be able to make enough change to become independent as soon as possible. So here are a couple underpinning principles. We don't try to fix people, but we give them space to heal. We don't give them money, but we give them the opportunity to accumulate some wealth to be financially stable. We don't solve their problems, but we help them set goals to have a pathway for a better future. We don't preach, but we give them information about financial management, parenting strategies, and other resources. We don't lecture, but we do listen. We do show them love, and we try to restore dignity, build agency, and hope. These are so critical. And part of the Family of Promise Speak, part of our language, part of our labeling is that these families are our guests. They're not our clients. They're not homeless families, but they are our guests. And so they deserve dignity, they deserve respect, and we try to convey that in many ways. So we've been providing direct service for 5 years, and whenever I'm hearing sermons, I always like to get to the so what. So what? So what is that we are serving families 62 and 63. We'll probably be bringing another family in this week, I hope. I hope for their sake. In that period of time, 80% of our families have found sustainable housing within 90 days. 80%. Part of the other so what is a bit of information that issue that I was touching on earlier, in that part of the so what is that we've created a network of organizations and faith communities that stretch from Colfax to Troy, to Uniontown, to Colton, Moscow, and Pullman. We have 12 host congregations, but we also have 19 partner congregations and organizations that help out those larger host congregations. And we have hundreds of volunteers. We have trained more than 700 or 800 people. So, again, we've been able to bring some people together who, like I said earlier, would not probably be speaking to each other most days. Another so what is that because we have this large coalition, we've been able to foster a conversation about poverty. And we've put a face on poverty. When these families come to be with us, we get a better understanding of what is going on in the community. And I think that's a big so what. I I also think that we we're just so involved with other community agencies that part of the so what also is that we have fostered powerful relationships with Sojourners, Habitat, and others. And we just take our place among those. Each have their own role and important things to do. So, the big so what is that the secret sauce for Family Promise is you. The secret sauce is the hundreds of volunteers throughout the region that are providing the meals, a safe place, and words of encouragement. You've been incredibly generous. The Yellow House has been a beacon. It has been a beacon in our community. I'm going to close with a story that was my own personal experience a couple years ago that I think captures the essence of what we hope will happen with Family Promise. A couple years ago, I was driving the Family Promise van, and it was spring break, and our part-time drivers were not with us, and so I was driving the Family Promise van over to Pullman, over to Emmanuel Baptist Church, and I picked up our families and loaded them into the van at the day center, and I remember it was a snowy, junky spring day, and I was kind of at first really paying attention to the road, and then I started paying attention to the conversation that was taking place in the van. We had a new dad with two sons. We had a mom and one daughter who had been with us for quite a while. And by about the time we got to McDonald's on the way over to Pullman, I could tell she was wanting to give advice to the new guy. She was wanting to kind of be part of the informal orientation program to let this guy know what he's getting involved with. And she said very simply, when I first came into Family Promise, I felt uncomfortable. I felt uncomfortable because every night I was around new people serving meals, new people who wanted to make small talk. And I just didn't know how to deal with all of this. She said, I have lived most of my life on the receiving end of people who want to manipulate me. I have had very little done for me other than when people want something from me. And she said, it puzzled me when I was each evening served by people I didn't know. I felt uncomfortable. I didn't know how to respond. And she said, it took me a few weeks. It took me a few weeks to understand that these folks who were providing the meals and sitting down with me in the evening, and even staying overnight, were doing it without any expectation of return. They weren't expecting anything from me. And she said to this guy, I finally realized that I was receiving unconditional kindness. And she said, I had never really understood what that was. I'd never had too many of those situations where in my life I just received unconditional kindness. And so she said to the guy, just know that these people are here to be helpful and supportive, and they're going to be helping you with unconditional kindness. So I just wanted to keep driving. I just wanted to hear her keep talking because she was really, I think in many ways, describing what the essence of Family Promise is meant to be. And she closed by saying, because of that unconditional kindness, I just feel like I'm learning to trust and I'm learning to look at the world a little bit differently. And I went, yay. Amen. So, if you ever wonder whether that meal or staying overnight matters, it does. It just does. Some of our families are a joy to work with. Some are very hard to love. Because just like this woman who was giving advice, they've been damaged by poverty. They've been scarred. They have a hard time rebuilding their lives. They have a hard time trusting. They have a hard time making decisions that maybe you and I would feel are pretty ordinary, in my best interest kinds of decisions. They've been scarred, and sometimes it takes a long time to heal, if ever. Again, those meals, staying all night, the contributions that you make do matter. So thank you. Thank you for your commitment to Family Promise. Thank you for all of the important issues that you involve yourselves in this community. Thank you.